I still remember the way the boardroom smelled. Leather chairs, burnt coffee, and fresh ink from the $12 million contract I closed the night before. That morning, I walked in expecting a handshake. Instead, I got a termination letter slid across the table like a dirty secret. No explanation, no warning, just, we're going in a different direction. Before we dive in, where are you listening from? And what time is it for you right now? Drop a comment below. I read everyone. Help us reach 10,000 subscribers before the end of the month. I made a promise to my dog. Once we hit 10K, I'll buy him a brand new cooling mat. He's counting on you and so am I. So if you enjoyed the story, please hit that subscribe button. My name is Ryan Maddox. I'm 33, fiercely ambitious, and I don't back down from impossible deals or backstabbers in tailored suits. I had just pulled off what everyone in the office called impossible. Madison and Locke, a scrappy fintech where I led enterprise accounts, had been circling Graybridge Capital for years. One of those icy, high-stakes clients that made you rehearse your handshake. And I cracked them. 3 months of midnight calls, 47 versions of the proposal deck, a surprise dinner with their COO in Manhattan when his flight got rerouted. And finally, a deal that would net us $12.4 million in year one alone. Legendary work, Maddox, my boss, Oliver Stanton, said as he clapped me on the back. Pop some champagne this weekend. Monday we talk promotion. That was Friday. Monday came. I wore my sharpest navy suit. Even skipped my morning run to review projections. I wanted every number to sing when I walked into the exec meeting. But Oliver didn't even look me in the eye when I stepped into that sleek, glass-walled room. Ryan, he said, gesturing toward a seat. His voice was tight, rehearsed. The air felt off. The CTO, the HR director, even the intern from legal, they all avoided eye contact. Then came the sentence I didn't see coming. We appreciate your contributions, but your role is being dissolved, effective immediately. What? I blinked. Oliver, Graybridge, this doesn't make sense. We just won. He cut me off. This isn't about Graybridge. It's a broader realignment, restructuring. It's not personal. The coward couldn't even say thank you. Security was waiting outside. I wasn't even allowed back to my desk. My laptop, my personal notes, my client files, all gone in under 5 minutes. They sent me out the back exit like I was contagious. I stood there on the sidewalk, holding a box with nothing in it, still wearing my best suit. Then my phone buzzed. A message from Graybridge Capital's CEO. Congrats again, Ryan. Let's grab dinner this week. I've got another idea I want to run by you. Also, I spoke to Oliver. Strange energy. I stared at the screen. Oliver spoke to him? Why? I opened LinkedIn instinctively, and my stomach dropped. Because right there, under experience, Oliver Stanton had a brand new line. Executive Vice President, Strategic Partnerships, Graybridge Capital. Posted 2 hours ago. And just like that, the first seed of suspicion started to bloom. What the hell had I just been used for? I just stood there on the sidewalk, blinking at Oliver's shiny new title, like it might disappear if I refreshed the page. My hands were still shaking from the termination meeting, but suddenly it wasn't heartbreak coursing through me. It was rage, slow burning, ice cold, focused. Before we go on, have you ever had a boss steal credit for your work? Or worse, trade your success for their own climb? Tell me your story in the comments. I read them all, and trust me, it helps knowing you're not alone in this. The longer I stared at that LinkedIn update, the clearer it became. Graybridge didn't just want a contract. They wanted a person. Someone to own the new strategic partnership. Someone they thought was me. But Oliver had clearly decided otherwise. He'd taken my playbook, my late nights, my deal, and turned it into a personal job interview. Probably behind my back for weeks, maybe months, and I had walked him right into it, like a damn chauffeur. I called Graybridge's CEO, Darren Fielding, almost without thinking. He picked up in 2 rings. "Ryan, hey man, I was just talking about you. What's up?" I kept it professional. For now. "Quick question, Darren. When exactly did you offer Oliver the role at Graybridge?" There was a pause. Then, cautiously, I didn't. I mean, we had some early feelers last week, but honestly, it wasn't finalized until yesterday morning. I assumed you knew." "I didn't." Another pause. "Wait, didn't he tell you he was joining after the deal came through?" "Number he told me to pop champagne. Then he fired me Monday morning." Silence. "Holy hell," Darren muttered. "Ryan, that's not how I thought this went down." "Same." I hung up a few minutes later after Darren promised to look into it. But I wasn't banking on corporate morality from a hedge fund exec. I needed answers and leverage. So I started digging. First stop, my personal Google Drive. I always kept a habit of duplicating key decks and contracts just in case clients went dark. Good thing I had, because Oliver had scrubbed me from everything inside the company's shared drive. My name wasn't even on the proposal PDF anymore. He'd retroactively edited it to list himself as the lead strategist. My blood went hot. Next stop, my apartment. I spread the docs out on my kitchen table. Drafts, email receipts, time-stamped call logs, even text messages with Graybridge's COO. It was all there. A breadcrumb trail proving I was the one who landed the deal. And that's when I remembered something. A voice memo. One I'd recorded weeks ago, during a late call with Oliver when he told me, "If this Graybridge thing lands, Ryan, I'll make sure you get what you deserve. No one else is even close." He said it while tipsy, not realizing I had voice memos auto-recorded during work calls for note-taking. Legal in my state. That was my ace. But I wasn't going to fire it off yet. Number this was going to be a slow burn, just like the one Oliver set under my career. But he didn't realize something important. I wasn't out of moves. Because 2 days later, I got a message from someone unexpected. "Hey Ryan, heard what happened. I left M and L too. Want to talk? There's something you should know about Oliver and the acquisition talks." It was Nina, a former colleague from strategy, and she never messaged lightly. I met Nina at a quiet corner booth in a bar we used to hit after quarter end. Same scuffed tables, same smell of whiskey and overachievers burning out. But this time, the mood was different. She looked over her shoulder twice before sitting down. That's when I knew. This wasn't just a gossip session. "Hey, if you've ever had a coworker come through for you after the storm, drop a thumbs up in the comments. We need more people like that in the world." Nina didn't waste time. "Oliver sold you out," she said, straight-faced, dropping her bag beside her. "And not just for the Graybridge gig. This goes deeper." I leaned in. "I'm listening." She pulled out her phone and opened an encrypted messaging app, one we used to use during a leak investigation project 2 years ago. She still had it. That alone told me this wasn't hearsay. "You remember when Madison and Locke started talking about acquisition options last quarter? Quietly? Only VPs and above were looped in." I nodded. "Barely. I heard whispers, but never got official word." "Well, Oliver wasn't just negotiating on M&L's behalf," she said. "He was double-dealing, using your Graybridge contract as leverage, not to get bought out, but to sink the buyout." I frowned. "Why would he do that?" "Because if M and L got acquired, his department would have been flattened. He would have been expendable. But if he could blow up the acquisition and walk Graybridge through the door with a custom contract, he could sell himself as the linchpin. My jaw tensed. So he tanked a merger, hijacked my deal, then took a job across the table? Pretty much. You were the bait, and the proof. She slid her phone across the table. On the screen, an internal Slack export, screenshots from a private leadership channel. One message stood out, time-stamped 2 days before I was fired. Maddox is getting too much visibility on this. We need to get ahead of it. If the Graybridge contract finalizes, I'll handle it. Oliver S. My chest tightened. That was the smoking gun. You saved this? I asked, stunned. I saved everything, Nina said, eyes hard, because I knew someone was going to get thrown under the bus. I just hoped it wouldn't be you. I exhaled slowly. I had the voice memo, the call logs, the documents. Now this wasn't a story anymore. This was a case. But Nina wasn't done. One more thing, she said. You ever wonder why HR didn't fight your termination? Because they're useless? She half smiled. Because they were told not to. Oliver's brother-in-law sits on the board. This wasn't just a screw-over, Ryan. It was a setup. I sat back in my seat, trying to take it all in. I'd been erased, discarded, replaced, and now I knew exactly how it happened. But I wasn't going to take it to HR or the board, or even to Graybridge's legal team. I had a better idea, and it started with a podcast, a very specific one, run by a viral journalist named Jules Tran, who specialized in corporate takedowns, anonymous whistleblowers, and something she liked to call executive autopsies. Nina raised an eyebrow when I told her. You're going to the media? I smiled for the first time in days. Not the media, I said. I'm going to war. I sat in the soundproof booth, mic in front of me, headphones on, heart pounding like I was stepping into the ring. Jules Tran's voice came through calm and sharp, like she'd done this 100 times, because she had. But this time, it was my story, my blood, my career, and I was ready to burn the lie down. Hey, if you were me, would you have stayed quiet? Or gone public? Let me know in the comments. It's not revenge I wanted. Just the truth. And a little bit of air to breathe. You sure you're okay being recorded? Jules asked through the glass. We can keep your identity anonymous if you prefer. I shook my head. No aliases. No distortion. I want people to hear me. She raised an eyebrow, impressed. All right then, Ryan. Let's talk about Oliver Stanton. We started from the top. Graybridge, the $12.4 million deal, my sudden termination. Then I walked her through the digital breadcrumbs, call logs, email receipts, the Slack messages Nina recovered, and finally, the voice memo. I played it for her. Her eyes widened at Oliver's words. If this Graybridge thing lands, Ryan, I'll make sure you get what you deserve. No one else is even close. And then, I added, he deleted my name from the contract file, took the job I earned, and fired me before I could even clean out my inbox. Jules leaned back. Classic bait and switch, but with a bonus side of corporate espionage. She asked smart questions, got the timelines airtight, made sure we weren't exposing anything that would get Nina in legal trouble, or me for that matter. When we wrapped the interview 2 hours later, I felt lighter, like the weight of pretending it didn't matter had finally dropped. This is going to hit hard, Jules said as she packed up. And fast. My listeners? They hate suits like Stanton. This one's going viral, Ryan. I hope so, I said. But not for me. For who then? For the next guy who thinks playing fair means playing small. The podcast dropped 5 days later, episode 172. The promotion that got him fired, inside the $12 million betrayal. Within 24 hours, it had 2.1 million streams. By the next morning, it hit the front page of Reddit. Corporate subreddits, TikTok stitch reactions, LinkedIn think pieces. It exploded. People dug up Oliver's Graybridge appointment post and started commenting with fire emojis, links to the podcast, even quotes from the memo. One person wrote, "Imagine failing upward by sabotaging someone else's career. Wild. Hope he chokes on his non-compete." But what happened next? I didn't expect that. I got a call from Graybridge's CEO, Darren. "Ryan," he said, voice stiff, "we're launching an internal investigation. Oliver's onboarding is paused, and frankly, we're reconsidering the entire partnership." I blinked. "Wait, seriously?" He sighed. "We don't do business with liars. And your podcast, it didn't just go viral, it went upstairs. Our chairman heard it. He's livid." I hung up that call dazed. Then my email pinged. A new message. Subject: possible opportunity. Would love to chat. From Elise Moran, Chief Revenue Officer, Vanta Capital. Just heard your story. We're building something ambitious. And we could use a fixer like you. Let's talk. But the next message I got? That's the one that really caught me off guard. It was from Oliver. "You made your point. Can we talk privately? I think we both know this is getting out of hand." I stared at Oliver's message for a long time. "You made your point." That's what he wrote. Like this was a petty spat between colleagues instead of a calculated betrayal that nearly destroyed my career. I should have deleted it, blocked his number, moved on. But I didn't, because part of me still needed to look him in the eye. Ever had to face someone who stabbed you in the back and smiled while doing it? Yeah, that kind of meeting changes you. We met at a private coffee shop in Tribeca, one of those sleek, overpriced places where hedge fund bros whisper over cold brews. Oliver showed up 5 minutes late, wearing a cashmere coat and the same smug expression he wore the day he fired me. But there was a twitch behind his eyes now, a crack in the mask. "Ryan," he said, trying a diplomatic tone, "appreciate you coming." I didn't shake his hand. "You've got 5 minutes, I said, sliding into the booth. He sighed and leaned in like we were still co-workers navigating a tough quarter. "Look, this all got out of hand. The podcast, the Reddit stuff, the press." "You mean the truth?" I cut in. He looked down. "Fine. The truth. But you need to understand, I didn't plan it like this. Graybridge moved fast. I saw a chance and—" "You saw a chance," I repeated, bitter. "One I created. You stepped over me and slammed the door behind you." He hesitated, then said it. The line I knew was coming. "I can make it right." I almost laughed. "How? Going to hand me your new job and write me a thank you card?" He shifted. But Graybridge is still reevaluating. I can talk to Darren. Recommend you come on as a senior consultant. 6 figures. Big equity piece. Quiet return. No press." I leaned back and let that sink in. He wanted to buy my silence. "Why now, Oliver? Because your name's radioactive? Because you're losing the job you stole?" He didn't answer. He didn't have to. "I don't need a seat at your table," I said, standing up. "I'm building my own." And I walked out. 2 days later, Graybridge formally rescinded Oliver's offer. They cited internal integrity concerns and announced a new external advisory role for strategic growth. I didn't need to ask who they meant. Darren called me personally. "We'd like to make this official, Ryan. You in?" I was. But not just for the job. I said yes because of what came after. The podcast lit a fuse. Hundreds of messages poured in from people I'd never met. People who had their own Olivers. HR horror stories, executive betrayals, promotions that became punishments. One woman wrote, "Your story gave me the nerve to finally quit. I'd been surviving, not living. Thank you." But nothing hit me harder than the message from Donovan, a junior rep I once mentored at M&L. "Bosses like Oliver made me want to quit corporate for good. Bosses like you remind me why I started. Don't stop." That's when I knew. This wasn't just revenge, it was redemption. But I had one final chapter left to close, and it came from Nina. She sent me a cryptic text. "Check your email. It's about the acquisition. You're gonna want to see this." What I opened changed everything. The email Nina sent hit my inbox with no subject line, just a PDF attachment. 6 pages. Confidential. The kind of document you don't get unless someone either really trusts you or really wants to burn it all down. It was an internal memo from Stratus Capital, the firm that had been circling to acquire Madison and Locke. And it confirmed everything Nina had suspected. Oliver didn't just sabotage my career. He sabotaged an entire merger to save his own skin. Hey, if you've stuck with me through this whole journey, you know this was never about just one deal. It was about what happens when power protects itself and talent gets thrown to the wolves. If you've ever felt that, drop a firework in the comments. This one's for us. The memo was from Stratus's M&A team, outlining red flags that caused them to pause the acquisition. One paragraph in particular stood out. "We were made aware, via internal correspondence from M&L, that a lead strategist, Maddox, was removed mid-negotiation under questionable circumstances. This raised concerns about the company's transparency and leadership integrity. Recommendation: withdraw." Translation? Oliver's lie, the one that erased me, also killed the buyout. I forwarded it straight to Jules Tran. She called me within 5 minutes. "Oh my God," she whispered. "This isn't just betrayal. This is sabotage." The next podcast episode wrote itself. Jules titled it, Episode 178, "The Exec Who Shot the Deal to Save Himself." New evidence surfaces. By that weekend, Madison and Locke's board was in full-blown crisis mode. HR got audited. Internal investigations reopened. Oliver was officially blacklisted by Graybridge, Stratus, and 3 other firms once they caught wind of the fallout. But the poetic justice? Nina was promoted. She was offered a VP title to help clean house and rebuild what was left of the team. She called me stunned. I never thought they'd actually listen. They didn't, I told her. The world did. You just couldn't be ignored anymore. As for me, I accepted the offer from Graybridge, but with one condition: my own division. I wanted to build a new strategy team from scratch. No fluff, no backstabbing politics, just raw talent with something to prove. They agreed. 6 months later, I had a team of 12 underdogs, half of whom had been passed over, underestimated, or forced out of old roles they outgrew. We called ourselves the Second Wind Unit, because that's what we all were, second winds. Fresh starts, proof that when the right people finally get heard, the whole game changes.